Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Press Coverage. I'm your host, Kyle Senra, and joining me for this episode is TJ McKinley. You can find him on Twitter or X at Mr. _ TJ Savage. Try to fuse everything together. So MR _ TJ _ Savage. Eventually I'll get it right. But yes, how are you doing, TJ?
I'm doing good, Kyle. How you doing?
Yeah, fantastic way to start the week off. Typically press coverage on Mondays, so glad to be back in the swing of things, and glad to have you on here as my guest for the month of June.
Glad to be on. Thanks, man.
Up in Canada, I consider June to be the start of football month. But obviously, a little bit of ways in the NFL, but still, love this time of year. And speaking of starting, we're going to start the episode off, as we start every episode off, with the start of your sports journey. So, TJ, my first question for you is, what are your first sports memories?
My first sports memories were when I was on Pop Warner. I remember my mom yanked me off the couch and said, "You playing football now?" So I was like in 4th or 5th grade. We went all the way to Florida that year. We lost in the first round, though. It was in North Carolina. And my other sports memory, I had a baseball coach. I played baseball. His name was Jason. He used to eat those sunflower seeds nonstop. So, yeah, we went undefeated preseason, regular season, and postseason. The whole year.
What a way to start off. Yeah, that'll certainly leave an imprint. But a lot of people, their first memories are watching, but it seems like for you, it's right away just playing right off the bat. So love that
yes,
attitude.
Sir.
Yeah. Once you started playing, did you then start watching sports afterwards, or did that come a lot longer?
Oh, well, I'm Ohio State. I wore number 56 because of Lawrence Taylor. LT. As soon as I seen his highlights on YouTube, I'm like, yeah, that's how I played, with the grabbing jerseys, the helmets, that's what I did. So throughout all the sports, I wore number 56. That's my number.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I guess for certain basketball rules, you're not allowed to, because I think international basketball, it goes up to just 5 of every number, so the refs can signal with one hand. So you can go from 50 to 55, but that's it. So I think now the NFL, because I think that's why Michael Jordan had to change his numbers from whatever he originally wanted to 23. But I know now the NBA rules anyway, with numbers have loosened. And yeah, because I've seen players wear numbers. Like, I didn't think they could wear that in basketball. So yeah, the NBA kind of has different rules than the rest of the world. But when you got started in football, were there specific positions that you started playing at, or in Pop Warner, do they kind of just place you all over the place so everyone gets a bit of experience?
Well, I had some crazy coaches in Pop Warner. They had me at safety. That was junior Pee Wee. It was junior Pee Wee and Pee Wee. Junior Pee Wee, I was safety and linebacker. That was first year. I was third string, so I didn't get. They called me Smiley. You see, I always smile all the time. They used to call me Smiley. Then next year, I went to Pee Wee. I started as safety and linebacker. I was back and forth. I ain't play offense at all. I always been a defense player, and they will still call you Smiley. We ain't make it to Raleigh that year. We lost the game before going to Raleigh at Forest View. Yeah, I played for the Stanley Blue Devils. That's what I was playing for.
Safety for Stanley.
Yeah, it was fun times though, man. It was. Yeah. Safety and linebacker.
Yeah.
It was up and down, but it was fun times, man. I was young too, crazy, wild.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess Ohio State were some of the first things you remember watching. Do you remember any games stand out for you when you were young? Big Ohio State games?
The Michigan games, because I remember all my cousins was telling me just hate Michigan. Then the Michigan State was good too, and then Penn State always. They done been bad these past few years since post Saquon, but Penn State used to always, them Ohio State Penn State games. I used to just be glued to the TV as a little kid watching.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, yeah.
So How far did football take you? Like up to what levels did you play at?
Well, I don't want to speak on high school because I got PTSD from that. Let me say middle school. I was having fun up to middle school. I went to a football camp throughout high school, but like I said, I don't want to speak on that. Bad memories, college, bad memories. Like yeah, up to middle school when I was at my Holly. So that's yeah. I was still playing constantly 6th grade, but 7th, 8th grade, I was playing football in middle school. It was fun too. I started defense in 8th grade. 7th, I started. It was a lot of 8th graders, but 8th grade, y'all started linebacker, DN, because I started putting on more weight,
What?
and I started growing. You know, growth
Yeah,
spurts.
they can happen at any point. Yeah. So, what position
Yeah,
throughout football did you enjoy playing the most?
middle linebacker, middle and outside. Like I said, I was a big Lawrence Taylor fan, so linebacker is where I wanted to be. And to this day, my brother plays now.
Okay.
His name is I don't want to say his name yet, but yeah, he playing now in Ohio. He going to his sophomore year in high school. Yeah, he played defense too.
Was that was he influenced by you to play defense, or is that just was he been?
Yeah, he started. My brother started young too. He started like way before I think 6, 7 years old. He got pictures too. Yeah, we I got a haircut now. We always had long hair, but yeah, he started. He played basketball, baseball. Well, he ain't too good at baseball. Basketball, football, and track. And I'm trying to get him to do rugby because he need to bulk up.
So yeah, I guess that's a good point with you. Outside of football, did you play any other sports, TJ?
Basketball, I was defense. I was like that. I ain't gonna get too arrogant. I was the defense person. I was the rebound. The coach used to put me on the best player. And baseball, I was lazy. I was decent at baseball, but when the coach needed me, he'll be like Tashawn, because he used to have so far sleep. He'd be like Tashawn, hit the ball. I think he was playing mind games because when he went off, he went off. But with me, he just be like hit the ball, then I'll hit it, and then yeah, we just be running, around the bases. But yeah, baseball. Oh, and I did track. I ran track in high school.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was okay.
I've heard a lot of people they run track to help them stay in shape for other sports. Was that kind of your thinking?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody knew I wasn't gonna win. I was just out there for staying in shape.
Well, great dedication. You go through all that, and I'm sure it was a lot of fun playing all those sports.
What about you, Kyle? Did you play sports?
Yeah. So I played a bit of basketball in middle school and throughout high school. I also ran cross country more than track and field. So I did like doing the long distances. I remember running up to 10K sometimes in terms of events. So yeah, that was mostly what I did in high school. As a young kid, I played soccer. In Canada, almost everyone plays hockey as well. So I did a bit of that too. But
I want to get on the ice. So I see they get more bros in hockey. So I want to get on the ice. Is it fun to be on the ice?
It's a lot. Honestly, skating is so much fun. Even just without not even playing hockey, just being able to skate is pretty awesome. So
I want to get on the ice. So
I hope you can, and I hope maybe I've influenced your decision. But that does lead to the next question, TJ. Who have been the biggest influences in your life so far?
I always give credit to my mom. Anything I wanted to do, my mom's pushing me. I just recently graduated. I meant to come on here and say I just recently graduated from college. Got my bachelor's. Yeah, I got my bachelor's in marketing management and minor economics with honors degree, with honors diploma, however you want to say it.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, my mom, she always been my biggest influence.
I'm sure. I mean, that must have been a great moment for her as much as it was for you to see you graduate.
Yes, it was. What about you? Who been your biggest influence?
Honestly, when I ask most people, usually their answer is their parents. So that is, I'd have to say so as well. I know last year I talked to a lot of different teachers as well, and that came up too, where teachers that influenced them to become teachers. And so, like, I could think of, a couple of my music teachers, like my 9th grade music teacher, because I'd never really played music before that. And so even just learning instruments, like that was a huge influence on me and some things I'm still doing with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, didn't play football, but yeah, played a lot of sports young. Like I think I was like 5 years old when I started playing soccer. So my parents were super
Are you?
athletic. Like they love sports, so they made sure my sister and I we play at very least soccer. Played a bunch of different sports. I actually before I played hockey. I actually did a year of figure skating to learn how to skate. So I know my dad kind of insisted on that. He wanted to make sure that I was more readily prepared to be out there on the ice playing hockey, but more dangerous. So at the very least, get the skating done before that. So when you play hockey, it's not as big a learning curve. And I to be honest, did think that helped. So yeah.
You like figure skating? Did you like doing that?
I didn't hate it. Again, skating's fun. But as soon as that year was done, and the next year I wanted to play hockey. Though, so I always saw it as a means to an end. Like my dad explained to me, we want you to do this first before you play hockey. And so I did it, and I think I enjoyed it, but ultimately I always knew I just wanted to play hockey. So, yeah, I do wonder. I have wondered, what if I just stuck with figure skating and did more of that? I don't know. Who knows? When you're a kid, like the 4-year-olds figure skating, it's mostly just where to be. It's nothing too spectacular. I remember seeing
when you a kid, you do a lot of things.
Well, yeah, again, and that's influenced the parents though, right? Because both my parents they met at university doing the kinesiology program. Like they both wanted to be gym teachers, so for them, like just being active is super part of both of their lives, and they wanted to especially make sure for my sister and I we followed that same path. Be athletic, just do sports, just be active, and that was kind of huge for them. And seems like it was huge for your mom, just your mom saying to get you into playing football. So when you'd mentioned that right off the start, I'm not surprised that you went to her and mentioned her as your biggest influence.
Yeah, she's been my biggest influence.
Are there any other people you'd like to shout out though as big influences?
Well, I could say. I'll say my cousins, a few of them here and there. But really, it's always been my mom, ride or die. Anytime I needed help, she was there, pushing me through school, getting over obstacles, all that. Like, she just always been there. And I thank her for it. I ain't going to say it in person. I thank her for it. But yeah, she been my biggest influence.
That's awesome. That's great.
Especially being the person she is. I ain't gonna go too deep. Yeah, being the person she is. Yeah.
Well, maybe send her the video. Maybe even if you don't want to tell her yourself, she'll get the message through here.
Oh, she gonna see the video. She watch all my podcasts. She go.
Love that. But speaking of our love of things, outside of sport, what else do you love? Like, what are some of your favorite hobbies that you have?
Oh, I'm glad because I don't like to people just see, tall, big dude. They just think sports. I like to read, play video games. I like doing this podcasting thing, as you know, behind the scenes. Yeah, I like doing the podcasting, get to know different people. It's good to meet different people. I like to do that. Reading, I love to read. I read all type of different genres. I really like the autobiographies and the mystery books. I like the game. PlayStation, Xbox, all the above. I like to learn, and I'm very business-minded. I like to learn everything business, anything that's to do with business, and I definitely like education. I like to be. I know I'm kind of tired right now, but I like to be educated. Learn, upgrade my vocabulary, read books, and I like to. If I don't even like to paint, but if I were to go learn about painting, I would go read about it and go take a class just because I'm bored. I'm the type of person, if I get bored, I just want to learn something immediately. So, yeah, them my hobbies. I just like to learn.
Knowledge is power, so let's gain as much power as we can.
What you like to do? What's your hobby?
I do tend to just watch a lot of sports, but my wife and I love to play chess, play other different games, board games, Magic the Gathering sometimes. Mm-hmm. Chess has been a big thing for us the last few years.
I like chess too.
Super fun game.
It got you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Strategizing, viewing the whole board, I was gonna say all 16 pieces, but yeah, I guess it's more than 16. You're 16, but you have to all 32 pieces and kind of mapping that out and
I get you.
Possibilities. Yeah, super fun. So yeah, just love doing that. I don't play video games as much. I'm a musician. The period of my life where I played the most video games was I think I was like 12 to 15. Then right before that, ninth grade music class, and then once I started learning instruments and getting a guitar, I stopped playing video games. I just put my focus all into music. So I've got a band.
You play guitar?
Yeah.
You can do whole songs.
Yeah, I've been playing guitar almost like more than half my life now. I guess I would have learned when I was 14, 15. So yeah.
What's your favorite song to play?
There's a piece called "Mood for a Day." It's by a band called Yes, although it's just the guitarist Steve Howe. It's a solo classical guitar style composition that he makes. There's a couple of their earlier albums where he'll throw one like just guitar piece in. But "Mood for a Day" is probably my favorite one to play.
Yeah, I like D'Angelo. You heard D'Angelo? He got the braids.
Yeah. I think I've seen him before.
Yeah, I like D'Angelo. I know you heard Anthony Hamilton.
I'm not so familiar. I'll have to look it up. I know that name will be in my mind because Hamilton Tirecast, my favorite football team. So I'll think of that. Anthony Hamilton. Gotcha. I'll look him up afterwards. Thank you. I love learning too, and I love learning about new music and new musicians, especially guitarists. Yeah. I go crazy just to nerd out on guitarists. So yeah, Anthony Hamilton. Thank you.
I love them beats, man. Those beats, they just be hitting, bro.
No, for sure. The dexterity and how they can hear what they hear is and be able to put it on guitar is quite so. Yeah, I circled through, I guess, quite a lot. But one of the things you started to talk about was content creation and starting to do some videos and some things. So what was that journey like for you to decide I want to share my voice with the world?
Like when they want, like
do podcasts or any other forms of content.
So I was just watching. You know how you just be on YouTube watching podcasts, and then I was like, "That's just one of my bored moments." I'm like, "Let me start doing podcasts," because I'm always watching sports. I want to start doing some of these gaming podcasts, but that's another thing. So yeah, podcasts. I just like I said, I like meeting different people. I just like to engage and get their thoughts, share some thoughts with them. Some people, they just do podcasting because they bored, but they, like, as you've been doing, sharing knowledge on, like, the music and all different type of things. So I just like to do podcasts, man. Just give me something to do. I said I get bored easily, so. But I would like to. I got my own YouTube page. Yeah, I'm gonna start YouTube, the SoundCloud, whatever. So yeah, podcasting just always been fun to me, and I still talk to some, as you know, talk to some people, and thank you. I thank you for inviting me on.
You have definitely in the past.
Yeah, I just like to do podcasts, man.
You joined us on the Full Press Packers pod before. Yeah, you were very grateful afterwards and thanked us for sure. Yeah, very polite. I enjoyed that. Do need to get you on more.
Yeah, I want to come back on.
Yeah, too. No, we'll. I know. I've already talked to you. We're planning something for the Full Press Fantasy Pod as we get out of Dynasty season. I know everyone here, especially going for two, understands the love of Dynasty football. That'll be kind of more towards July, but certainly you can, think of something maybe July or August for Full Press Packers Pod as well. I'll definitely let you know about that, TJ. But if anyone really likes hearing your voice and wants to hear more of what you have to say, where can they find your YouTube channel? Like, what would they search up to look for?
Well, you, not to sound arrogant, you go on Google, just type TJ McKinley, or you go on YouTube, type TJ McKinley. I can't. That's a good question. I only think, just go on Google.
So that's what I thought it was too. I thought it was just your name. I was trying to look it up through my subscriptions. I have quite a lot though.
Yeah, I think I subscribed to you too.
Well, yeah, it'd be just say you're the subscribe, going for 2 live, folks. Everyone should subscribe.
Yeah, I'm also on LinkedIn for any business person or anybody who just want to chat on LinkedIn. I'm on there too.
Yeah, for sure. What I might do is if I retweet this video in future episodes, I'll maybe try and also link your YouTube channel underneath.
I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah, like I said, I know it's in my subscription somewhere, so I'm looking through it. I'll find it eventually. But yeah. However it ends up being, and Jamie's here to join us. So actually a former guest on this show. And speaking of former guests, just the way you were talking about watching people podcasts and watching sports talk shows, and you're thinking, I can do this. A former guest of mine on the show, Matt Donnelly, he claims himself to be like the king of petty, and I guess he started writing fantasy football articles because he was like reading some other articles, and these are so awful, I can do better than this, so I'm just going to do it just to spite them. And he's got the Dynasty Vipers network, a fairly successful network. So shout out to Matt Donnelly, he's a great guy. But yeah, sometimes seeing it happen and us being unsatisfied with the result makes us think we can do that. We can do better than that.
Shout out to Matt.
yeah, Matt's awesome. And I guess Jamie's late because he's shopping for his daughter's birthday, which is always a valid and great excuse. Spoil your daughter, Jamie. No, it's not my money. I don't have to worry about it.
Happy birthday to her. Happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday. Yeah, very kind wishes. Don't know when that'll be, but hopefully it's not today and you're shopping for it today. Come on, Jamie. I know Jamie plans much better than that, so I'd imagine it isn't today. Maybe this week, but apparently Matt Donnelly had a birthday week. So to be fair, he's got enough kids, whether it's his own kids or I know he's a foster father, so he's adopted quite a lot of kids or just housed a lot of kids. So all the kids are running around. He deserves a full week of celebrating. I think everything Matt's pretty awesome. Just fantasy football content and just in regular life. Matt's a pretty awesome dude.
Yeah, he doing good for himself.
Oh, and I guess his daughter is listening. She said thank you, TJ. So.
Oh, you welcome. She watching too, huh?
Yeah, we'll have to keep. It's funny because Jamie's usually the one that would keep a show not family appropriate. So he's the one. He'll certainly be cautious. But we're going to talk about all-time favorite players. So TJ, the question typically is because a lot of the guests I have on the show is people from the fantasy football industry. So I typically ask this under the guise of who's your favorite fantasy QB1, RB1, wide receiver 1, tight end 1. Favorite, usually typically players they've rostered in fantasy football leagues or won fantasy championships with. But we're going to go more just real NFL. Who is your all-time favorite quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end? So TJ, you can kick it off really with any position you want in whatever.
Well, Lawrence Taylor, a linebacker. Yeah. That was just an honorary mention. But I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna follow you, Kyle. Quarterback, Michael Vick, revolutionized the game. I know Kay Cunningham came before and all them. Michael Vick was like the AI of the early 2000s in NFL. So Michael Vick, Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
If Barry had him online like Emmitt Smith, he would have broke the record. Barry Sanders, wide receiver, Randy Moss. That dude right there. Him and T.O. It's between him and I ain't even T.O. him the decade, but Randy Moss. Tight end, I'm gonna go Rob. It's between Gronk and Dwight Clark.
Oh, Dwight Clark, interesting. Yeah, from the Colts.
Dwight Clark. I don't know what he's about, dude. He's just him, but Gronk is number one. But Dwight Clark, I think he underrated for the Colts. But yeah, it's Gronk. Who yours though? Who's yours though?
So I will maybe a preview for a couple weeks from now. I'll probably share my favorite all-time fantasy players, but I haven't snuck them in previous episodes. But yeah, from a real life NFL standpoint, I mean, I'm a Packers fan, and just seeing Aaron Rodgers dominate for years, the quality of play he put up, the king of the Hail Marys, like it has to be him. It has to be Aaron Rodgers. I can talk myself into other quarterbacks I like more. I'm a huge Justin Fields fan, being a Packers fan. Happy he's gone from the Bears. That seemed like a toxic organization to be in and just like a toxic environment for him. Just get out of it. Go to the Steelers. That's the exact opposite. Under Tomlin. So I love that for Fields. Nathan Rourke, Canadian quarterback, shout out. We'll see as he's trying to forge his NFL journey. But yeah, my favorite quarterback I've ever seen is Aaron Rodgers. I've cheered for him way too many times because I've been a Packers fan for long enough.
What about your halfback, wide receiver?
I think running back, honestly, is probably the most difficult because I could go again with the Packers bias. Aaron Jones, who just recently departed the team. I'm going to be honest, I was really tempted to say Eddie Lacy because it seems like everyone else hates Eddie Lacy. I loved Eddie Lacy. I thought he was awesome. To me, it was the injuries that really kind of sucked. He was just poor-timed injuries, especially foot injuries. That seemed to be his issue. I know everyone wanted to make jokes about his weight, but man, when he was his bowling ball power weight from 2013 to 2015, he was just running through people. It was awesome to watch.
He was. I remember him.
Love Eddie Lacy. So part of me kind of wants to choose him just because, it's yeah, of course. And Jamie knows, of course, I had to bring up Rourke. I just to slip that in there a bit. We'll see what he does with the Giants this year if he makes the team. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Eddie Lacy as my favorite player. There's one of those years, 2013. Rodgers broke his collarbone and he missed like half the season, and they still made the playoffs. And their offense. It wasn't because Matt Flynn was in there, because he was okay. He did just enough to win, but Eddie Lacy was driving that offense.
I remember that season.
I do too. Yeah. So no, I love Eddie Lacy. I'll always love Eddie Lacy. So I know enough people rip on him enough that it makes me want to just extra talk about him. So yeah, we'll go with 2 Packers picks right off the bat, just to really showcase the team bias. And you know what? How could I say anyone else but Devontae Adams? That dude is just. His ability to quickly get open off the line of scrimmage is a thing of beauty. Right? His footwork, incredible. And just the production the last few years especially was just unreal. And how great of a red zone weapon he was. It was, to see him in green and gold, it was awesome. I want to shout out Brandon Banks. I don't know if you know Brandon Banks. I can't remember what college he went to. I think it was a fairly big school. I want to say something like University of Minnesota, but this is way back in like 2011, 2012.
He sounds familiar.
Anyway, I think he ended up. I don't know if he got drafted by Washington. I think he went undrafted. Signed with Washington. Yeah, he was undrafted. He was with Washington for a couple seasons, 3 seasons, and then couldn't get an NFL contract, so came to the CFL. And for my favorite football team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, he was a dominant force, especially as a returner. Instantly helped them win a lot real early as a return specialist. And there was a playoff game against the Alouettes in 2013, I believe, or 2014. Yeah, I think it was 2014. The East Final. He had 2 return touchdowns in that game. Totally, just changed the game for them. And then later really developed his skills as a receiver and ended up winning the Most Outstanding Player Award in 2019. Hamilton had an incredible record that year, and he put up over 110 catches for 115 yards. He had 13 receiving touchdowns. Just over the course of his CFL career, he had 55 touchdowns. And most of it was with Hamilton. So just seeing him on my team, I actually got to see him live. I actually got to see him return, I believe it was a punt for a touchdown. Or no, it was a missed field goal. Yeah, Bombers kicked a field goal, and he returned it for a touchdown. So getting to see that live was pretty awesome. So I'll always have a special place in my heart for Brandon Banks. But Devontae Adams has to be the answer.
Yeah.
Now, the Packers have been awful at tight end, so I don't have an answer at tight end that involves the Packers. And I think of who are the tight ends I love to watch, and there's 2 that really stand out to me. One is George Kittle. That dude's just an animal, and unfortunately, there's a lot of playoff losses I can think of because they keep losing to the 49ers and Kittle's
them Niners Packers playoff guys. Man.
Oh man, it's not been good, but George Kittle has always been good and probably the best blocking tight end in the league. Still one of the best receiving tight ends. He's got this just next level speed gear that really few tight ends actually have. So he's very few tight ends can you give them a screen pass and expect them to run a touchdown at him. They're typically getting their touchdowns in the red zone, but Kittle's one of the few guys that at tight end that can score from distance. And the other one I really want to shout out is Jonnu Smith, who I feel has been really underrated through his career. I thought he was pretty great with the Titans, and even last year with the Falcons, you were still seeing that ability, that breakaway speed ability that you barely see at the tight end. So just to be, Kittle and Jonnu Smith, for as big as they are, they shouldn't be as fast as they are. So I love seeing something like that. That's almost seems like it should be impossible. But yeah, Kittle's a lot of people's favorite tight end. And sorry.
While we speaking on tight ends, what's his name? Darren Walker just retired.
Darren Waller, yeah, just announcing his retirement. So. Now they've got it's funny that all the Canadians are with the New York Giants. You got Nathan Rourke at quarterback. They just drafted Theo Johnson at tight end. So now without Waller, Johnson might have only Daniel Bellinger really to contend with to be the starting tight end for that team. So yeah, so the winds are changing in New York. What do you think of their 6th overall rookie pick in Malik Neighbors? I quite like him as a prospect. I think he's one of the better prospects.
For the Giants?
Yeah.
I think he need to get up out of New York. Because Giants, I don't know. That post Eli Manning era, I don't even like Eli Manning, but post Eli Manning, they drafted other than Saquon and the Georgia boys and a few others. They got the tight end dude from I can't remember what school they just I don't know what they be doing. Them and the Jets, they can't draft at all.
Well, yeah, maybe that's why they signed Nathan Rourke as a free agent. But they picked him up off waivers. They can't draft a quarterback, but if another team messes up on one, we can pick him up. And yes, Jamie, I do remember Jermichael Finley. I remember him pretty fondly.
Oh yeah, I remember Jermichael Finley.
Jermichael Finley is nowhere close to George Kittle. He's good. No. He's better than every Packers tight end since Jermichael Finley, but still, he wasn't George Kittle even at his peak. Hey, he's a Super Bowl champion. He helped the Packers win a title. I love Jermichael Finley. But I love George Kittle more. But yeah, that's our favorite players. And then I guess to end this, so that was all the first half hour. The last half hour we'll reserve for the high five section, which is typically top 5 lists. So you typically top 5 from 5 different categories. But we're going to switch it up this week. TJ, since you love sports and there's so many good sports stories around, we're going to go the high 5, the top 5 sports topics that are high in everyone's minds right now. And lots of excitement. Just last week, we saw both the NBA and the NHL finals kick off. So I'm going to start there with the NBA finals. We've seen game 2 was last night. So how much basketball have you watched this year? And what do you think so far of the finals?
Well, for those who don't know, Kyle knows. I spend most of my time focusing on school, but I definitely keep up with Kyrie because I'm a Cavs fan, Cleveland, Ohio, 216 all day. I need Kyrie to step his game up. Kyrie only averaging less than like 20 points both games. Like, Kyrie, come on, dude. Like, I want Kyrie to. I think everybody want Kyrie. I don't think it's going to because Boston too good. Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday, man, that team, they a unit for real. But Kyrie, I want Kyrie to win so bad. But the NBA Finals, I think I give the Mavs one game. I see it going 5. Celtics.
It does seem like it's the Mavs. They put up 2 good games and still couldn't win. So it seems like the games they do, if they do end up winning any games in the finals, it's going to be incredibly difficult to do it. It's going to be very close. It's going to take so much out of them that it's going to be tough to envision them doing it multiple times in a row. But Jamie, the Cleveland connoisseur himself, is in Cleveland. So I guess, his question to you, TJ, which part of Cleveland, if you don't want to answer that here, you can DM Jamie. Because he's from Cleveland. I think he's just more curious to see like where.
Yeah, Jamie, that's on behind the scenes. We can talk about that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know how I go, Jamie. Oh, no.
So Jamie, honestly, if you want to know, just ask him via DM. You can see his Twitter handle there. Again, at MR_TJ_Savage. I get it right. Mr. _TJ_Savage. There you go. I got it right again, twice in a row, which again, that's going to be unlikely for Dallas to do. I will say I haven't watched a ton of basketball this year. But honestly, the most basketball I watched up before the finals was probably the Cavaliers going to Game 7 against the Magic. It was on a Sunday afternoon. There was really nothing else sports going on, and it's like, man, it's a Game 7. I'll totally watch this. Didn't look so great in the first half, and just before halftime, things started to really turn. So
barely.
Yeah, hey, they got the win though. A Game 7 win's a Game 7 win. Doesn't matter if it's by 1 point or by 20. It means the same. So congrats on that. At least getting the Game 7 win. I think that's been the only Game 7 so far in the NBA playoffs.
It hasn't been that many games.
Because I think both of the finals, the East or the the Mavs did drop one game to Minnesota, but like they were almost sweeps in the East finals, and I think the second rounds, I don't think any games went to 7, if I'm not mistaken. So
I don't think so.
I don't know. The way we're both looking at the finals, we probably think that's going to be the only Game 7 in the playoffs this year.
Probably. Don't know what could happen.
Yeah. For Jamie's sake, Jamie loves to share. So he grew up in the old Brooklyn area. Now it's in Brunswick now. Which I find that hilarious because Brooklyn in New York and New Brunswick is a province in Canada. So I see those names and I think of other places. But so
I know what Jamie at.
Well, now we all do. Thanks for sharing. Every episode, Jamie will be in the chat and we'll share some interesting facet. And this is just where he grew up. Sometimes it's a lot more wild stories, we'll say. This is just a tame story of childhood innocence, we'll say. Little Jamie growing up. Speaking of growing up, actually, one thing I did look up, Brandon Banks, the receiver for the Ticats I talked about, he went to Kansas State when he went to college.
Oh, okay.
So he's from Raleigh. He's from North Carolina. Yeah, went out of state, and yeah, he was a small dude. Like he was like 5'5", 100 or 5'6", 150, 160 pounds. But man, Brandon Banks, they called him Speedy B. What a fast dude. But yeah, the NBA Finals, it just seems like, you know, it's not a shock the Celtics are here. I believe they had the best record in the NBA all season.
What, they won 60, 64, 68 games?
And it's a team that, you know, went to the finals a couple of years ago. So this seemed just like, okay, they've learned all the lessons they needed to learn to be ready for this moment. And so far through 2 games, they kind of won in 2 different ways, right? Like game 1, they came out and they were the strong team right off the bat, and they put up such a deficit and that Dallas could never climb out of. But this one, Dallas started the first quarter strong, if I remember correctly. And then it was the second and certainly the third quarter where Boston came back and pushed away.
The difference between Dallas and Boston got a better bench. Even though Dallas got names. See, Dallas is a team, they got names, like you know them, but Boston is what's the word? Is structured better. Like everybody know their position, everybody know their roles. When they come off the bench, they know a 3-and-D, wing, defensive player, shooter, slasher. Mavs is all Kyrie and Luka. It's like the Denver problem when Jokic and Murray. If them two don't have the ball, or they both on the bench, or foul trouble, it's like Dallas just go down. They so dependent on Luka and Kyrie, even though they got shooters and they made some trades. I think at the trade deadline they got shooters and stuff, but you got too many weapons on Boston. So yeah, I think Dallas gonna tire themselves out. But I give them one game, probably next game, but game 4. But yeah, I think Boston. Even though I don't even like the Celtics, but yeah, I think Boston gonna win.
Like them or not, you have to just respect how good they've been this year and how good they've been really the last couple seasons. Seems like they're about to be crowned as clearly the best team of this season. And I think I was looking up, and the Lakers finally tied them for championships, but I guess now Boston has a chance to pull away and be one up again.
What is it going to be, 18, 19?
I think it'll be. I think they're both at 17 now, so if they win 2 more games, it'll be 18 championships.
Okay.
Yeah, which is still not as much as the Montreal Canadiens have Stanley Cups. I guess we move towards the Stanley Cup final. They're not adding to that this year. The Canadiens didn't even make the playoffs. They're kind of in the rebuild. I think they were picking 6th last year. Probably going to be another top. I think they have another top 5 pick this year. So Montreal Canadiens are ways away from adding Cup number 25.
I can't believe the Florida Panthers. Florida.
It's been an interesting journey to see. So they've really kind of come out of nowhere the last 3 seasons. They had, in the early 2000s, they had a long stretch. I think they went 9 years without the playoffs or something, and they finally got back. And then it was just kind of a 1-year thing. They lost in the first round, and then it was another few seasons again. But 3 straight years in the playoffs, and a couple years ago, and each of those years they've won at least 1 round. So it's been, they went to the second round a couple of years ago, lost to Tampa on route. That was Tampa going to 3 straight finals time. That Florida rivalry in hockey, which is not, I don't know that anyone was expecting a huge Florida rivalry for hockey, but yes. And I'm going to answer Jamie's question a bit, but yeah, Florida made some changes after that season, though. They changed their coach. It was the coach got replaced early in the season, like 4 or 5 games in. So that interim coach did well, but then they decided they needed someone with more experience. Paul Maurice had resigned from the Winnipeg Jets. They brought in Paul Maurice, and they made a trade. Jonathan Huberdeau was one of their top forwards. They traded him away to get Matthew Tkachuk, who's kind of reinvigorated. Huberdeau, more of a great passer. Tkachuk, really a good just all-around player, really physical presence, and he's kind of helped them with an identity. Paul Maurice in as head coach. I believe Paul Maurice has the most games coached without a Stanley Cup. So very experienced coach, and suddenly this team had success, but they transformed some key pieces and suddenly back-to-back finals. They lost last year in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Vegas Golden Knights, but kind of like we said about Boston a couple years ago, getting to the finals, losing to who was that? That was the Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm. Golden State,
a team that's been there, done that with the experience. So,
mm-hmm.
they lost to Vegas last year, and now it seems like they learned from that, got even better this year. Because last year Florida just snuck in, like they were a 7 or an 8 seed. This year they were first in their division. I believe they would have been the second seed overall in the Eastern Conference. And game 1 got outshot ridiculously, almost 3-1, and still managed to get the win, 2-0. Sergei Bobrovsky at goalie. That's a huge story. But yeah, Florida has, 4 years ago, you're saying, oh yeah, Florida's going to go to back-to-back Cup Finals. We would have thought that'd be a big joke, but they've certainly turned it around. So we'll see what happens there.
Vegas, Tampa, and Florida.
You've got Colorado winning in there in between, but yeah, it's been some non-traditional hockey markets, so to speak.
Yeah, like usually used to be the up north or the Midwest team. You probably had a few West here and there, but them teams like nah.
I mean the Southern expansions have kind of worked, especially these last few years. I mean, to be fair, Tampa's been a pretty good team for most of their existence. They came into the league in like 92 and 2004. They won their first cup. Now they had just a few years ago go back to back. So Tampa Bay Lightning have actually been a pretty good organization for all of their existence, or most of their existence. And Jamie's question: when was the last time a Canadian team won the cup? Was it the late 90s? No, it was even earlier. It was earlier than that. It was the early 90s. 1993, the Montreal Canadiens, of course, them. They were the last team to win it. The Edmonton Oilers won it in 1990, so they've got a drought that they're trying to solve this year. I've got 2 of the most exciting players in the world playing for Edmonton, and they've finally Saturday night was their first NHL Finals game for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So,
let me ask you a question. You being a Canadian fan, what's wrong with the Canada team? Ain't there like 7, 8 Canada teams in NHL?
So there are currently 7 teams. I mean, the sheer numbers are kind of against it because, there's 7 Canadian teams, but there's also 25 American teams. So on any given year, it's more likely to be an American team than a Canadian team just based on the numbers. Now, that's not to say, since 93, there have been several Canadian teams to make it to a finals, but just haven't been able to get it done. I mentioned the Tampa Bay Lightning. When they won the Cup in 2004, they beat the Calgary Flames in the final. Ottawa made a run of it in 2007, lost to the Ducks. The Oilers actually went to the Cup in 2006 as an 8 seed, but couldn't get the miracle Cinderella run finished off, and they lost in the final. More recently, Vancouver 2011, another Game 7 loss at home. People literally rioted and destroyed the city of Vancouver. That wasn't fun. There seems to be a bit of a curse there. And it's funny because in that moment, like the late 80s, early 90s, there was a long stretch of years where there was a Canadian team winning every year. I think from 84 through 93, there was the only team that won the Cup outside of a Canadian team was the Penguins when they went 2 in a row, when they had Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr, 2 of the best players in the world at the same time. Mm-hmm. They were a little undeniable. But other than that, it was the Oilers were dominant. The Flames even won a cup. The Habs got a couple. So it's been a bit. The one thing I'll always say is, as a Canadian, I don't really care. I find it overblown. People panic about that way too much because the simple fact is, on every single NHL team, there are multiple Canadian players. There's literally not an NHL team that doesn't have any. So at the end of the day, every year, at least some Canadians are winning the Cup, even if they're not playing for a Canadian city. And typically, when the player wins the Cup, they get to bring the Cup back to their hometown, or they get a day with the Cup to kind of visit wherever they want to. So every year, we're still getting Canadian cities get that visit from the Cup, whether it's through players or coaches or front office people. So
that's cool.
And maybe that's just the optimistic side of me, but like I don't really care. Like if Edmonton doesn't win the Cup, I won't be upset about it. I just wanted to see McDavid get to a final. I wanted to see one of arguably the best player in the world play on the biggest stage. And now we're getting to, and guess what? They got goal lead and they put up, Bobrovsky got I think a 35 save shutout. So we'll see. I don't know. Did you watch Game 1 at all?
I watch hockey here and there throughout season. I'm like you said, NBA. Don't kill me, hockey fans. I watch. I'm starting to get into it, but yeah, I ain't been watching. But I was just shocked. I looked there. I seen Florida Panthers. I think it's a mistake. I'm like Florida. Like okay.
No. There was a lot of years where they were an awful team, but no, the last 3 seasons really they've been great. And yeah, these last 2 especially, going back-to-back finals.
Yeah, I remember they used to be. Now I do remember they used to be bottom of the barrel. So now all of a sudden they.
Yeah, no, they were a really bad team for a long time, and they kept not getting the superstars either, like not getting the lottery luck. They had the first overall pick the year before Alex Ovechkin came out, and they really tried to contest it because like. The Russian calendar doesn't match up with our calendar. So like sometimes October and November are skewed. So they tried to kind of play that card to say, well, he's actually, his birthday is early enough that he's 18 now. We can draft him because he's got to be 18 by a certain day. So like, if you're the year of your draft and you're turning 18 in September, after September, like October, you'd go into next year's draft. And that ended up happening with Ovechkin, and it was like a day, like he was a day after the deadline, and Florida tried to push it hard, but like just that kind of luck where they would have no brainer taken Ovechkin, but instead they had to. I can't remember who they took that year. That might have been Olli Jokinen, but then Washington benefits getting the first overall pick the next year and being able to take Alex Ovechkin. So yeah, sorry Florida. But now hey, they've made it work now. Okay, what's Jamie saying here? The best player in hockey history has to be Gordon Bombay. He scored 198 goals in the season, so that means he averaged 16.5 goals per game. For his playing time, he had to score a goal every 56 seconds.
Okay, what year? What year was that though?
Pretty sure this is from. I think it's from a movie. Oh, it was Pee Wee League, but still impressive. I think it's from the Mighty Ducks movies.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. Not even Gretzky would score at that kind of rate. Yeah, no, not legit. But yes, actually Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals are tonight. So TJ, if you get a chance tonight, I believe 8 p.m. Eastern, that game will be. Honestly, they say 8 p.m. Eastern for the broadcast time, but the puck drop will be like 8:20. But yeah, we'll see if they get another shot. And really, can Edmonton even just score a goal on Florida, because they dominated a lot of play, but still lost the game. So it'll be curious to see how they rebound. Because the one thing I noticed about Florida, in spite of them being the team that lost it last year and felt like they had unfinished business, they seem to be calmer and just like kind of embrace the moment. Whereas Edmonton, you seem like they felt a lot of pressure. Like, okay, it's taken so long to get here. McDavid, this is his 9th season. He's been the best player in the world for a lot of those seasons. And in his mind, he's thinking, how did it take 9 seasons to get here? I can't take it for granted. We have to win this. And it feels like they're almost putting like too much pressure on themselves. So now that they went through a game and lost, maybe they'll be okay. They've got through a Stanley Cup final game. Didn't go their way, but they're still alive. Can they learn from that? And it just seemed like they were, in spite of playing really well, they were getting frustrated and nervous a little bit. So, yeah. The 1972 season, that was Bobby Orr won the cup with the Boston Bruins in 72. Love Bobby Orr. Talking about influences, that was my dad's favorite player. So I'm influenced to love Bobby Orr. But we talked hockey, we talked basketball. We're going to talk more basketball now, but not the NBA, the WNBA. A lot of interesting storylines happening with the WNBA. So, TJ, I'll let you kind of speak a piece on the WNBA.
Man, but I think WNBA about to have the most views next season because Caitlin Clark. That's the thing about Caitlin Clark. I don't like how they trying to act like she's safe in the WNBA. Like, it was nobody watching, or they're acting like her and what's the girl from LSU?
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese. They act like, I don't know, they trying to do like the Magic versus Bird thing. You know how they did in the 80s in the NBA. Like, that's not about to work because this is a whole different era, different type. I see what they trying to do, but I feel like they try to make it be more about a race thing than a basketball thing. You know how they did back in the day. Yeah. I think the WNBA, I don't even think it's them. I think it's the media. They keep trying to make it big. I get it. All publicity is free. Like, it's good. But the WNBA drama, like the Olympic game, they talking about Caitlin Clark didn't get into it. Okay. You know how many players I'm missing off from the Olympics and the WNBA? Even the NBA, look at the NBA ain't got the best 12 players right now. What's his name? Halliburton. Okay. they even put Kyrie in it. Like, come on now. Like, the WNBA drama is just crazy. I think, y'all see, they trying to do the Magic versus Bird. In my opinion, they trying to do the 80s game with the race thing, Magic versus Bird. It's not going to work. Just let the woman play. Like, yeah, Caitlin Clark might be good. Angel Reese they might be the new faces. Okay, cool. But we're not going to act like the woman who was already there. I don't know that on top of my head, so don't kill me, Chet. We're not going to act like Brittany Griner although was not there already balling. Lisa Leslie, Cheryl, what's her name? How you say Cheryl Miller? Miller. Yeah. We just not about to act like the people who laid the foundation for the WNBA didn't exist. Because I feel like this was the media. They keep trying to act like, yeah, they was all right. But this new Candace Parker, her too. Yeah, they was all right. The NBA don't do that. What they always talk about? Jordan, Magic, Bird, Shaq, Kobe. So just stop with this trying to make it be about race, the Magic versus Bird thing. Like, just stop. Just let the woman play. I get it. Y'all want to make Caitlin Clark be the face. That's not going to happen. Angel Reese be the face. It's not going. Now, the face of their teams, franchises, revenue, marketing. Okay, cool. Yeah. But they're still young. They just got drafted a few months ago. What, like 2 or 3 months? Like WNBA, it is straight to the season. Don't just. I get the media hype. I see what they trying to do. Just stop. Just let the woman play. We not about to act like this year's the first year of the WNBA history, like it's not existing. We not about to play the Magic versus Bird 80s race game. We not about to, every time something don't go, Caitlin Clark way. It was, just stop. Just let the woman play. Y'all don't do it. Okay, it's like she getting the LeBron treatment. I'm going to keep it. When LeBron first got in the league and LeBron was getting hit, wasn't nobody complaining. Jordan was getting that work from the Pistons. And Magic and them. Okay, so we're not about to act like just because it's Caitlin Clark, now it's a problem. Every I guess face of the league that came into you get like Shaq. Shaq was getting that work from Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley. Come on now. AI my favorite player. AI was getting that work. So we just not about to act like because it's Caitlin Clark, all of a sudden it's a problem and they trying to do the race thing, the media hype. Just stop. Just let the WNBA be a WNBA. Let the woman play. That's all I'm going to say.
Good rhyming. WNBA, let the woman play. That's all I'm going to say. Perfect. Way to say it. It'll stick in their minds. But you're right. Part of it, too, is you mentioned the media. I do wonder how many people are commenting on WNBA basketball that haven't watched. Like, for some people, they haven't watched the WNBA until this year. So in their minds, everything that happened before doesn't exist. Like, I remember watching last year and Breonna Stewart still dominated. I remember watching a few years ago when she her first year coming back from that Achilles injury and she was dominant right off the bat and they won a championship. So Breonna Stewart's still maybe the biggest story. I think I remember correctly, New York has started 10-2 or something this season, and I believe Breonna Stewart led the league in scoring last year, and she might very well do it again this year and take a team far. I think they went to the final, if I'm not mistaken. I think they lost to Vegas. I know Vegas is on 2 straight championships right now.
Again, Vegas teams, huh?
I know, right? They've done well, but you look at that WNBA Vegas team, they've constructed it super well. With Asia Wilson's. If it's not Breonna Stewart, it'd be Asia Wilson, the best player in the game right now.
Yeah, Asia will be balling.
Kelsey Plum, and then I know or Kelsey Gray, who I don't think she's played yet this year. She suffered an injury during the finals, but she was incredible for them. And actually, I remember that the talk was last year when she got hurt. Would they be able to, even though they only had to win one game without her, would they be able to win that one game? And sure enough, they did. But I think part of it is there's people who aren't used to talking about the WNBA that suddenly their voices are being heard on it. And
exactly, yeah.
I say remember the people who have been reporting on it. I got to shout out one of our shows here on the Going for Two Live Network, Speak on It, and they'll be on tomorrow night. Danny and Dee have been talking WNBA and women's college basketball basically as long as that show has existed. So they're one of the people I trust the most. Danny especially. Danny loves the WNBA. He's watched it for so many years. and he knows so much about it. So that's one of my more trusted sources when it comes to WNBA. Like that's someone I know really watches and has been watching for a long time. So I think that's part of it. And the other thing too, like Jamie's bringing up a point here that makes me think. Remember the '92 Dream Team in that era? Like you had the Michael Larry Bird generation the Magic Larry Bird generation with the Michael Jordan generation, all kind of together. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned them trying to recreate Bird and Johnson, that rivalry. Even back then in the '80s, they were trying to play the race card against each other. But I wonder if there's other parts that are less malicious. Because I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and someone asked about it. When was the last time? Like, what really are the best finals? And they went back to the Celtics and Lakers '80s finals. Like those matchups were incredible, and even the NBA should be trying to get back to those days, just because like that rivalry between those two franchises was so great. And so I wonder if the WNBA, they're trying to have that golden era of rivalry. If we can make if we can make Indiana this new destination, it's not quite as glamorous as the LA Lakers, but I do wonder if part of it isn't necessarily race motivated, but it's the idea of we want the polarizing player versus player, and then their teams get so good they match up against each other. Yeah, there's a desire to want it, but it's maybe too early to put that on them yet, where they're manufacturing it too hard. Like you said, let them play, let Angel and Caitlin develop, and certainly you also mentioned a good point about the college season, the draft, and WNBA season. It all kind of happens at once. They're almost playing their second season this year, and you got to think it's probably the sport that's actually least set up for rookies to succeed, because no other sport has that short of a span. And I get why they do it. Like the WNBA wants to maximize the time that the NBA isn't happening, which is why they start the season late during the playoffs so that their championship games happen in September before the NBA kicks off in October. So I know they want to maximize basketball fans. I think that makes sense there, but man, that really just make it difficult for the rookies. So I agree with you. I think Caitlin Clark next year is going to be a lot different, and she's going to learn so much from this year. She'll have time to rest and actually recuperate mentally more than even physically at this point. And so next season, how good Clark's going to be, I think, is going to definitely be something worth watching. But lots of great games happening this year. I mean, I think was it Connecticut? I think the Connecticut Sky started the season 9-0. I think they've lost since, but New York starting 10-2, and Vegas is still not even that great this year. I think they're like 5-3, 6-3.
Is Angel Reese's team, is they good? Do they got a winning record?
I can't honestly. I forgot who she
Chicago. She plays Chicago Sky.
Chicago. I think they might be around 500. They're doing a little bit better than like the Fever. I know. Again, Canadian. I loved Aaliyah Edwards last year. She's a Canadian, and I think Washington was 0-12 so far to start the season. So I think of those three rookies, I believe Angel is on the best team right now in terms of getting success and getting wins. And I mean, to be fair, I think she was drafted third out of them. So in theory, she would be going to the better team. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great season to see how it finishes. I imagine once Kelsey Plum gets back too, Vegas will be better than they are now. I think they know what matters is the three-peat. It doesn't matter the regular season record, just dominate in the playoffs and get that three-peat. So that'll be something in the back of the minds to really watch. Are they capable of doing that? Can this New York team with maybe the best player in the world, Breonna Stewart, can they dominate? How good can this Connecticut team be all through the season? How long can they keep this? Again, one loss to the record. How long can they keep that? So yeah, I think there's some great WNBA storylines that just make me want to watch the games. And so more than talk about it, let's watch them, folks. We've got two more topics to talk about here, though. Man, there's no marketing problem in the NFL, though. Man, they generate a lot of money. And as a result, these players get paid. Specifically wide receiver. The wide receiver market has boomed. We've seen Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith all sign massive extensions this offseason. Justin Jefferson, man. The Vikings knew they're going to have to pay big. What was it? I think it was 4 years, $140 million. What do you think of wide receiver contracts, since that's the talking point of the NFL right now?
I was always raised not to count another person's pockets, but when it comes to a wide receiver position, I think you got 10 to 15 wide receivers who deserve the money. Like I said, I'm not trying to count pockets. Out the 10 to 15 players, the rest of them is, I think, is media. No, they got a good marketing team. They do the commercial deals. Okay, cool. some of y'all do not deserve over 80, 90, 100 million. Some of y'all wide receivers just don't. Now, I don't count other people's pocket. I just think some of these NFL teams, they just looking at media hype or, okay, they might jersey sales or okay, that's cool. That's cool, but 100+ million for like all these wide receivers and you playing a one wide receiver 100 mil plus. The O line is okay. Quarterback is depends on the team. The defense side of the ball, you hoping you got enough salary cap to pay some of them because a lot of these defensive players, if you haven't noticed, defensive players be on teams like what 2 or 3 years and they on to the next team. Ain't like it used to be back in there with the Ravens or Steelers. You know how they used to get Miami too. But yeah, the wide receiver position, I don't count people's pockets. Good for y'all. Some the top 10, 15 wide receivers, some of y'all good for you, but I guess if the team see something, jersey, you gotta look at the business side. Jersey sales, the ticket sales, the revenue, the profit they bring. Okay, cool. Marketing. Some of these wide receivers do not deserve 100 mil plus, and the GMs are so worried about keeping this player, this wide receiver. I guess you're not looking at the rest of the team. That's why okay, you can have Jay Rice, but you can have an undrafted, unproven rookie quarterback who can't throw 10 yards. But you made Jay Rice 200 mil. Like, okay. Well, yeah, go ahead, Kyle. What you think?
Well, yeah, I think the balance, right? Like, okay, if you're going to put so much here, you're taking away from somewhere else. And, the marketability of it. You mentioned jersey sales. I think part of what drives that is wide receivers, they accumulate stats. In that facet, they're almost as marketable as quarterbacks are. And, we obviously know quarterback contracts get pretty extreme too, to be honest. But unlike offensive linemen, they don't really accumulate individual stats. People can, fantasy, like I think from a fantasy football angle, I've seen this before where, this guy was on my winning fantasy team. I'm going to go buy his jersey. Like the O linemen really don't have that opportunity. Like, okay, my fantasy star quarterback was protected all year. I should go buy his left tackle's jersey. No one really thinks that.
No.
So yeah, and then like the crazy catches. You want to blame someone. I think we blame Beckham. The one-handed catch kind of made it so like the wide receiver highlight kind of really became a thing. Because I'm sure like mid 2000s, it was the Michael Vick highlight, seeing him run, like, the crazy things he could do.
Yeah.
And then eventually like 2014 comes in Beckham's season and it just, and he was a rookie and he did that. And I think it just made all this hype at the position that we're still riding that wave.
Then Tyreek Hill came in. Yeah.
And Tyreek, what he could do with the speed. And then, we saw Antonio Brown at his peak. And yeah, we can talk about him now and as a person. But man, Antonio Brown, the football player, especially that 3-year stretch, 2013 to 2016, unmatched with anything we've seen basically since Jerry Rice. So, like we've just like the last decade, we've seen just unreal moments for wide receivers, but also unreal seasons. The Cooper Kupp season in 2021, for instance, like that was crazy. The stats he accumulated, and then went on and won the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl MVP. Is like as good of a season a wide receiver can have. Really ever and as much impact. So yeah, we've just had these moments that have kind of just keep building the hype at wide receiver. In this moment in history, it's all about the moment. And for the moment, we have one last topic. And I guess a big historic moment. It had been, I think, close to a decade since the EA Sports NCAA video game has gone in circulation. But our last topic will be the EA Sports series of video games. I really can talk about any series. I know that 2K, especially for basketball, seems especially popular. But what do you think of? Yeah, we can start with the NCAA returning to video games, but really, TJ, you can talk about
who making it? Is it EA? Is it EA?
Yes, I believe it's EA that is producing the
EA. I am praying. I know y'all probably not gonna do not F up. Y'all don't F up every from Madden. Please do not F up this. We already know EA losing money. So we already know sports games is going downhill. The stock market, they going down. Okay. EA, if you make this college football game like the best of all time, y'all gonna be good for the next. Y'all gonna be like, you know how Rockstar come with GTA that they straight. That's how EA about to be with this college football. Please do not make this game. I ain't got the money for it yet, but I already done came out. Please do not make this game trash. I'll do it. And the micro transactions? Do not go. Just stop. Just go back to how it was back in the day. Just make the game basic, build your player. The microtransactions have ruined games. Please do not do microtransactions.
Yeah, you gotta pay to access certain things, the downloadable content of video games. Yeah,
they gonna do it, but yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to get this game. I think I'm gonna get it a month or two. I'm definitely gonna get that college football game. But EA, don't do it. That's all I'm gonna say. But Kyle, what you think?
Well, yeah, I haven't really played video games. Last sports video game I bought was NHL 2005, which is another EA game. Honestly, it was trash. I hated it. NHL 2003 is, to me, the gold standard of Chell games. And once I bought 2005 and was so disappointed with it, like, I'm not playing this one. I'll just keep playing 2003. And then eventually I just stopped playing video games altogether. But yeah, I think in instances like that, everyone's got these kind of nostalgic moments. And this game, part of it is the demand they've created by not having it for so many years has now made it that everyone's kind of going crazy for it. There's so much hype. I'm hearing people talk about, well, you know, a decade ago I had a console. I don't have a console anymore. So now not only do I have to go buy this game, I got to go buy a console just for this game. So that's also going to help sales. You mentioned it with GTA. Like that's one where every time that was released, okay, everyone had to get a PlayStation. I think back to like the early 2000s. Do you remember the Halo hype when Halo first came out?
Was it them 360 those was going crazy.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. Like that Halo made the Xbox. Like that's why everyone was buying Xboxes to get
Gears of War.
Yeah, for sure. But like that, so you sometimes get a game that just the game helps sell the console. People want to buy this game specifically that it helps just boost the sales of the console. So EA might be one of those. I guess I don't know if it's on PlayStation or Xbox. Maybe is it both? I don't know.
Probably on both.
So it could be one where it helps both really types of consoles. And if they're smart, yeah, they sell to as many people as possible.
EA, just don't do what y'all do. You know how y'all get down.
Back to favorites. Do you have a favorite sports video game?
I'm playing a lot. I play all. Let's see. I like 2K13. 2K13 our favorite. Madden between 04 to let's say 2010, the golden era. Baseball, the 2000s. After 2010, so MLB 14 was okay. Hockey, I was playing after 07. I just stopped playing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What about you?
Well, like I said, I had, I think, 4 different versions of the NHL game. I think I bought 98, 2000, 2003, and 2005. I got to say, 2000 and 2005 weren't that great. 98 was pretty awesome. I think 2003, they kind of took a step up from 98. But they went to a next level. I don't know. I've played other NHL games since then, even if I haven't owned them myself. I don't know that anything else has recaptured what they had in 2003. So, yeah, there's definitely a gold standard era for a lot of these things. Jerome McKinley on the cover, too. That was a great cover. I love Jerome McKinley. His son's about to be drafted. That makes me really old.
Who about to be drafted?
Jerome McKinley's son, TJ McKinley.
Oh, okay.
Remember Jerome McKinley? Man, he was a great player. I love watching Jerome.
Yeah, it's a lot of great players.
Yeah, and we're seeing we just in the NFL. We saw Marvin Harrison Jr. get drafted. Like we're getting all these great heroes we grew up with. Suddenly their kids are coming into the league. So yeah, that's great. That's a great night to end with. Oh, Jamie's actually got one now. His favorite EA Sports game, Fight Night Boxing. But again, it's kind of like the NCAA. They haven't made one in 20 years. Boxing hasn't been popular enough. But yeah,
no Fight Night games. The PS2 was gold.
Awesome. Honestly, TJ, I think this episode was gold. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I like how we was diverse with it. We did a lot of different topics, not just one. We try to keep it interesting so it don't be too boring, you know.
We would have appealed to someone at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, somebody gonna skip through some parts, but yeah, I hope this was a good podcast.
I think it went fantastic. So thank you very much, TJ, for joining me. Is there anything you want to share with people? Let them know where they can find and follow you. Anything you want to?
My name is TJ McKinley. I am on Twitter, at LinkedIn, and YouTube. LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's where you can find me. And my name is TJ McKinley. And I thank Kyle for having me on. I hope he bring me back on in the future. And thank y'all for watching.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe not press coverage, but certainly look for future collaborations between TJ and I. I mentioned, sorry, Jeff, I'm going to go outside the company, but yeah, full press coverage. Both the podcasts I run there, Full Press Fantasy, Full Press Packers. Would love to have TJ. I've already scheduled on for the Full Press Fantasy pod, but yeah, we'll figure out a way to get you back on the Full Press Packers pod before the season starts for sure. And awesome. Thank you, everyone. Jamie was in the chat as always. Jamie's super awesome.
Happy birthday to his daughter.
Yes. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes. Happy birthday to Jamie's daughter. Yeah, thank you everyone for watching another episode of Press Coverage. Gained a follower on Twitter. There we go. It worked. We've done outreach with the show. We've succeeded. But, of course, I already referenced Speak On It. They'll be on tomorrow night. Jamie's on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet as well. So if you want to hear more from Jamie, check out that Speak On It.
Yeah, send me his Twitter. We'll talk about it after.
Yeah, I'll DM you that afterwards for sure.
Yeah.
And then so there's the Armchair Fantasy Show, of course, on Wednesday. But all to say, almost every night of the week, there's great content here on the Going for Two Live network. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like the videos, comment as well. Let us know what you thought of TJ. If you think I could be a better host, definitely don't be afraid to comment on it and give me the advice. But, thank you so much, TJ. This was awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of Press Coverage.